Ela quer vir pra minhas áreas de novo, só que me liga mais de 11 da noite. Acho melhor não ter, isso se repete tipo um ciclo vicioso. Ela quer vir pra minhas áreas de novo, só que me liga mais de 11 da noite. Acho melhor não ter, isso se repete tipo um ciclo vicioso. Pior que ela ganha.
Hi guys, happy self-care Sunday and welcome back to my channel. It's me, Mitty, and I'm here for another episode of Talk to Me Nice while I meal prep for the week and prepare my Sunday supper, right? No, I had major plans this weekend just to kind of change it up and give you guys a little different side of me. But unfortunately, circumstances prevented that. The circumstances, aka the weather, stopped me from doing what I really wanted to do. So this week I had to kind of recalculate, and so I'm here back in the same spot as last week, cooking and talking to you guys. Welcome to everybody new here. If you are new, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. You can also like and share my video, and if you want to comment, do that, because I love the interaction that has been happening so far. By the way, I currently have 56 subscribers and I'm hoping to get to 100 by the end of November. Small ask and it's very doable, but I would love your support for that. I am working hard and I'm just asking you to just like and subscribe and share my video. Okay? So for today, we're going to be making an Italian inspired dish for our Sunday supper and for our meal prep this week. It's called Cacio e Pepe, which is a spaghetti made with cheese and pepper. And we're also going to be doing some salmon in a butter caper sauce. Now, me personally have a love-hate relationship with salmon. I, for the life of me, cannot see why people are excited about it. But since I've been in the US, I have been trying to eat a lot more seafood and a lot less heavy-duty red meats, chickens that have been processed with all the byproduct meal and fertilizers. And I know seafood is not the safest bet, but I just feel more comfortable doing that right now. I've already put the salmon in the oven and I'm just gonna show you guys a little video of how I prepared it. So here we go. Alright, so she is dressed and oven ready. We'll wash her off nicely with some lime juice, seasoned her up with some Maggi, some garlic powder, some pepper and salt. Let it sit for a little bit, and then I added some capers, some butter and some sweet pepper on top. We're gonna cover her up, put her in the oven at 400 degrees and let her cook for 45 minutes. This is about to be some delicious salmon. Alright, now that you see how I went ahead and prepared that salmon, we are going to start our spaghetti dish right now, cool? And while we do that, our topic this week is going to be about communication. Now, communication is such an important aspect of all of our lives, but I realize that there is a true disconnect with adults and their ability to communicate, and it's quite baffling to me that people really don't understand how important communication is, whether it's for themselves, whether it's for their family, whether it's for their partner, whether it's just for their friends. A lot of us do not realize the importance of communicating. And today I just want to talk about it a little bit in the hopes that we can all learn something about communicating and its importance, and hopefully it can serve us well in the future. So the first thing I'm going to be doing here is to add my pasta to my boiling water, which I oversalted, because that's the rule of pasta. You oversalt the water, right? And so I'm adding a whole bag into this hot water here, and I'm just going to gently push it in so I don't splash the water up, and I allow it just to kind of soften so I can put all the sticks in it properly. Alright, and I'm just going to add a bit of olive oil as well, just so the pasta doesn't stick to itself. It works, trust me. A lot of people don't believe that it works, but it does work in relation to stop the pasta from sticking up to each other, which is so unpleasant. Olive oil in the water, whoever found that out, you are the true MVP. can we talk for a little bit? Just a little? I would really like to know your name. Now that is a phrase from a famous song that all of us belt out when we go to a retro party, right? But are we really talking to each other? Are we really communicating how we feel, especially when we are uncomfortable with the people who we supposedly care about and they should care for us too? Many times we don't. Many times we just suck it up, stay in our place, in our heads, having mental issues, not having the ability to openly say to a person, you are hurting me, I am hurting right now, and this is how you make me feel. The first aspect of it is our communication with family. Now, I don't know about y'all, but for the most part in my family, a lot of things don't get spoken about. A lot of things have happened, a lot of hurt has happened, and whenever you try to broach the subject, it is always met with, oh, nobody talk about that, man. We're past the stage, then let us go forward. And a lot of people don't understand that in order for us to move forward, we need to kind of approach all of these situations that have been bothering us. Because moving forward with all of these issues that we have pent up for so long, we're just pretending. We are literally just pretending. I am pretending to like you in this moment because I'm just trying to be neutral. But in the grand scheme of things, I have unresolved hurt that I'm not allowed to speak about because you are just not receptive. And so a lot of times that can hurt. And I've heard it from a lot of people and even in their families, you know, from every walk of life, Black, Caucasian, Indian, it's just been a thing where even in relation to like a generational gap kind of a feel, where the generation of before, they never used to talk about issues, and so for us now to speak out, it seems like we're outspoken or we're rude or how dare you. And they really don't understand that we're just trying to find a ground to just talk about what is bothering us so it doesn't bottle up and fester and turn into a real situation of hurt or hate. When it comes on to our friends, especially if we have a very hard time making friends, it can be the most difficult task to kind of tell a friend that, hey, I don't really agree with this, I don't really like your approach to this, I don't feel comfortable doing this with you, because we feel like we are going to lose that person as a friend. And to be honest, it may be true, because remember, a lot of our output and responses are based on our own feelings, our background, what we have been through, and as such a lot of people may not be receptive to what we have to say, and a lot of the times how we communicate with them can come off very harsh to them, even if it's not your intent. It might seem very harsh to them, very unkind to them, because how dare you bring this up now. And even if it's a case where they're going through some sort of stressor, they majority of the time would not like to speak about it. And so you are questioning yourself if you can even be a true friend to this person, because they just don't listen, right? And I have been in a lot of situations, because to be honest with you guys, I have a very hard time making friends. Not many people understand how I operate, friends and family. And so a lot of the times when I try to speak out about stuff, I get buffed back because it seems like I'm being aggressive, even though I'm just trying to explain what is happening and how this is making me feeling in this moment. So I tend to stay to myself, because I'm like, I'd rather not deal with all of that stress, and that in itself is a bad thing, because then I am not communicating at all. Alright guys, so we are 4 minutes into cooking this pasta, and I'm just going to give it another spin and just loosen up some of those pasta fibers from each other as well, because even though the olive oil is doing what it's supposed to do, we still want to make sure that it's not clumping up while we're cooking. Cool? Alright, now on to the perhaps most important communication. It's the one that we have with our partners that we're in a romantic or sexual relationship with. There are many times in a bid to appease a person, we relegate ourselves into a space where we don't voice our concerns. So we just wake up unhappy, go to bed unhappy, feeling inadequate and uncomfortable being around this person who has seen all of us in our entirety. Intimate, financial, sexual, romantic, all of the alleys that could come around. They have seen it. And we feel uncomfortable to voice our concerns with them, whether it's from a physical or mental or sexual or financial space, because we just feel like one, they won't understand, or two, they will be shut down. I have been in a situation where even with friends, when I try to explain to them that I don't know of myself as having anxiety, but I was in a situation that made me anxious, I was made to feel as though I was over-exaggerating. You understand? And what a lot of people don't recognize is this. How you feel about a situation or being in a certain place or having a certain background, being in a certain crowd, is not the way that other people are going to feel. So it's only fair that you allow this person to express their feelings, and then you have the opportunity to decide if this is something you can deal with or not, right? I also learned this week from a friend that I was speaking to in Jamaica that a lot of the times our communication with our romantically involved partners can be so off-brand, weird, and disconcerting that instead of speaking to the person about the issue we have with them, we decide to speak to persons outside of the relationship, get their point of views, which is not necessarily the point of view that they should have, because most times they're only hearing your side of the story and not seeing the full picture, and or they go and seek an alternate partner. Oh, that's a nice phrase, alternate partner, aka side chick, aka boyfriend on the side. What you call a man who is a side piece? Side piece. But an alternate partner, and this partner becomes their confidant. A lot of the times what happens in these sorts of relationships is that the person that they confide in will make the time for them to explain everything. And a lot of times they're not saying these things to their partners. Cool? So for example, he was saying to me that, and this is a little explicit, so just prepare yourself. He has a friend who is married, and the man kept cheating on his wife, and she just could not understand it. And for all of the times they have been having the conversations, he just would not be forward with how he felt about the situation. And then it came to a head when he had an alternate partner in the scenario. He was now seeing this person a lot more, confiding in them a lot more, staying out with them a lot more than engaging with his wife. And one day everything came to a head, and he explicitly said to her, so and so, I feel like you're a good wife, but I just don't enjoy sex with you. Right? And in that space, the person said to me that the wife was mad, she was upset, she was angry. He left the house, went to stay wherever, more than likely with the alternative partner. And then the wife called him the next day and said, look, we need to have a situation. We need to have a conversation, I'm sorry. And they were able to talk about it. And this is not a shortcoming of hers anyway, because in the truth of it all, we're never going to be able to please our partner 100% all of the times. A lot of the times it just takes a lot of compromise for people to get to a place where they're like, okay, this will satisfy me and I don't need to seek this outside. But she spoke to him and she said, you know what, well, since I can't do nothing about this, but I'd still like to keep you within the household. We have kids, we have all these things that are tied together. Let's come to an understanding with this alternate person. And they did that, and it worked for them. But that just shows you the beauty of communication, because this woman was in a world thinking that she did something wrong, something is wrong with her, her partner doesn't love her, she's committed so many years of her life to this relationship and it's now going down the drain, and she does not even really know what is happening, right? And just that conversation, as hard as it was, because I tell you, I guarantee you, there is nobody in this world, no woman especially, that wants to be told that listen, I just not like have sex with you, or you just can't, you're not doing it the way I want to. But the conversation was had and they came to an impasse. And so they were able to work it out within themselves. Now, if I was in a situation like that, I'm not even 100% sure what I would do. Because if the conversation was had, it means that I would have to take time to process it. I may not have been so receptive to say, okay, let's work something out with this alternative partner since she's doing it for you and I want to keep. I would probably just walk away for my mental health and my sanity and be done. But people react in different ways. But this just shows you that communication works because it allows both parties to know where each other's headspace is at so they can make a decision as to how to move forward and not feel like they're stuck in this gridlock that is not going forward, it's not going backward, it's not benefiting nobody, there are no advantages, but they cannot move. And this is why communication is important. Now let's check on my pastor. Alright, so based on how she feels, I don't think we got to 10 minutes, but she is softening up a little bit. So I am going to turn the flame off now. Not trying to overcook this pasta. There is nothing in this world that is worse to me than mushy pasta. And for the most part, the pasta pieces are separate. So I tell you guys, that olive oil trick does work. Y'all need to try it the next time you make pasta. Alright guys, so now I have drained my pasta. It's in this colander here. I saved a cup of my pasta water to add to the sauce. And the stove behind me here sizzling is because I've started on the sauce. So here we have 2 tablespoons of butter and some olive oil. And to this, I'm going to be adding some mushrooms. Now, the recipe did not say I could use mushrooms. By the way, they're washed. They're washed in this container. But I figure as much that if I add some mushrooms and a little bit of spinach, I would be adding to my vegetable intake. Makes it more of a balanced meal than just carbs and fish, right? Alright, so now what's happening, I've added my cup of pasta water to the spinach and mushroom. I'm just going to allow them to steam down a little bit before I add my pasta back, right? And so since we have a little bit of time, let's continue what we're saying. So we know how we interact with friends, we know how we interact with our families, and we also have issues communicating with our romantic partners. I kind of live my life on one premise, and I always say to myself, Shanna, when you get to be 80 years old, would you have been happy with the life that you led? Because my personal belief is that we have been fed a lot of lies. And so a lot of the times we see people celebrating 50 years and 30 years and 40 years of being married or being attached to a person, but many times if you asked how many of them were happy, it's probably less than 5, probably less than 10. And so one partner finds themselves in a space where they're always compromising to accommodate the needs of their partner. This has nothing to do with submission, so please do not feel that's where this is heading. But I feel like a lot of the times we don't know how to communicate what we need, and our partners are not also receptive of our needs. So we end up going to a space where we compromise because we already have 3 kids with them. We've already tied all our business to them. all of this is happening, so much so that we cannot leave and the communication hasn't gotten better. And as I said before, we're now in a gridlock. We're not going forward, we're not going backward. Nothing is happening and the years are just rolling past us. So I always say to myself, how do you want to remember your life when you get to 80? As we all know, life is a full adventure and we're never going to have things go our way all the time. But I believe that for those who are close to us, our friends, our family, or romantic partners, we should be able to have, if it's even a base way of communicating with them, to let them know how we feel in this moment. When we're feeling sad, it's not about showing them aggression. It's not about being so angry or so miserable that you throw this off all on them. You need to be able to speak freely about how you are feeling in that moment and what you would like to see happening. But also, a lot of times people are just so angry and so upset that it can come off the wrong way. Now let me say this as well. Every emotion that we experience through the whole life cycle is valid. Anger is an emotion, sadness is an emotion, happiness is an emotion. Being depressed, being in states of mind that are not usually the positive ones are also emotions that we experience. And many times it might feel that people only appreciate us when we're happy. Like, it's almost always like we cannot freely express ourselves in any other emotion except happiness, even though we all know that no one is happy 100% of the time. We're not happy, probably not even 75% of the time. But for the most part, people around us will only accept us when we're happy. A lot of the times when you're sad and you just want people to be there, people walk away and say, I'll give you some time. You know? And even that, we should be communicating with our families, with our partners, that this is what I need from you. So now that we're at this point, we are going to look at some ways how we can communicate better with our partners, with our friends, with our families. There is no foolproof way of communicating. Every single way of communicating is going to come with its barriers, its disadvantages, and we also might feel that it's not receptive. But hear what? Two people have to come together to make communication work. So the advice is that if you're giving or receiving communication, do it with an open mind, first of all. I feel like a lot of the times, after a time, we become so caught up in our feelings or just locked in that we are not able to view anything with an open mind. Anything the person said away, we just automatically upset because how dare you, right? It does not have to be this way. Keep an open mind as possible. If it means that you have to schedule time to talk and say, look, tomorrow I want to talk to you about something, which allows you to have an open mind to the discussion and the person you're talking to also free their mind to prepare themselves for this discussion, that can work. Secondly, we need to actively listen. And you hear what I said? Actively listen. Not hearing the person out, not hearing what they have to say. We need to actively listen. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Speak less, listen more. The thing about actively listening though, it means that we have to engage a sense of maturity to not feel like this person is lashing out at us, but we need to understand what they're saying and where they're coming from. The thing is, nobody is going to have the same experience even if they're in the same place. So even if you and your partner, you and your family, or you and your friends are in a problem right now, both of you guaranteed are not experiencing it the same. So through active listening, you can hear your partner's point of view, you can hear your friend, or you can hear your family's point of view. And please don't butt in. Allow people to free their mind, and then you say what you have to say. Cool? The next thing I want to say is this. For conversations to happen, many times we need to find the right setting. The house, the bedroom, the space might be so toxic that it's probably best not to have the conversation there. Babes, I could go for ice cream tomorrow. There's something we need to talk about. Or don't even broach the subject then. Just say, let's do something outside of the house, and use that as an opportunity to make the conversation happen. But don't do it at home, because you don't want home to become that dead zone. The home is supposed to be the safe space, right? And sometimes having an environment outside of the house makes for an easier conversation, right? The next thing is we need to think, respond, and then react. I always say to myself, whenever I'm caught in situations that are very untenable, I take a breath first. And taking that breath allows me 10 seconds at least to think before I respond and then give a reaction. Being in different cultures show you as well that breathing and thinking gives you a little bit of time, because Jamaicans are very expressive people. We talk with our face. And for a lot of people that can be very off-putting, because some cultures won't even look in your eyes when they're talking to you. Some people won't look at your face. Some people would rather talk through a medium than speak to you directly. And so, you know, for me, it's always breathe, think, then respond, and then have a reaction. And that has worked. And guys, if you try it, it will work. Alright, so now my spinach and mushrooms have cooked down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and slowly add my pasta back into this pot. And then I'm going to combine it all together. Listen, tongues make it so easy to incorporate pasta, I swear. Like, all the little things here that I'm learning on my cooking journey is, listen, A1, A1. And what I like about this pasta is not the heavy duty cheese pasta. Yes, I'm going to be adding some cheese, but it's not like a heavy cream Alfredo based sauce that gets cloying after a while. I think it's always best sometimes to have fresh pasta, like not the cheesy ones. So while we're here now, I'm just going to be adding some black pepper, and this is the Pepe in the Cacio Pepe. So I'm adding some black pepper. It's a whole box of pasta, guys. I need to make sure that it's properly coated. There you go. And I'm also going to be adding some salt. I'll be adding a lot less salt, because remember we salted the water to cook the pasta, so we don't need to put a lot of salt in it. Alright, good. And now finally, while this is cooking down, I am going to be adding my Parmesan cheese, my grated Parmesan cheese. This don't even look like enough Parmesan cheese. I think I should have some in my cupboard here. Yes, this is grated Parmesan cheese as well. Now it's a different brand. I don't know if the brand have anything to do with it, but I guess we will tell. So what I'm doing here is adding about a cup of Parmesan cheese. Just gonna break these bits up a little. They're a little big. Yeah, that looks like a good amount. And then I'm going to stir everything together and let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then we're done. So here we go. So now that I've added the Parmesan cheese, I'm just trying to incorporate it all around. And this smells good too, you know, as simple of a dish as this is, with no meat added into the actual pasta, it really smells good. them Italian people know what them did do with all of this pasta, I swear. And it's one of my favorite things to eat as well. Like when it comes on to losing weight and dieting, this is always the hardest part for me. Giving up the carbs and giving up, well, basically just the carbs, to be honest. I love rice and I love pasta too. Alright, so I feel like we have mixed this in well. So I'm just going to scoop this off here. We're going to let this sit for another 5 minutes and then we're done. Alright, cool. Now, as I was saying, we also need to learn to avoid criticizing the person. And a lot of the times when people are saying things, especially things we do not like, the first thing we want to do is to criticize, because that innate anger in us just comes out to kind of blurt out. But yeah, you are talking about me not carry you out, you not carry me out. Or yeah, you are talking about how me do this and me do that, but you don't know better than me. Where's that going to take us? You're going to be at a dead end, because they're expressing themselves and you are so blocked off that your automatical response is just to grab back at them. That's never going to get you anywhere. Never. Alright, next thing we need to do is to look for the non-verbal cues, because a lot of time people are hurting and you will never hear them say it, right? If we really trust and love somebody, family, friends, or partners, we need to look for those non-verbal cues to tell us that they're angry, they're hurting, and they're sad, or even that they're happy. You know, if they're happy and it's a positive cue, then we want to enhance it. If they're sad or angry and it's considered a negative emotion, we need to find out what is happening and how we can help to remedy it. Because at the end of the day, we are all people. And we're all requiring love. We all require love. We all require respect. We all require someone showing that concern for us. It's just in our nature to be that way. Next thing, we have to be gentle. I know it's hard. It's very hard, especially when you're having a conversation and a person is saying all these bad things about you. All you want to do in that moment is just lash out and end it. Because why? How? Where are you coming from? What is happening right now? I feel like I'm being attacked. And gentleness and humility is to come from both sides. The person who is communicating and the person who is accepting this form of message, they need to be gentle with each other. War no solve nothing. If it's a war in our head, it solves nothing. And the very last thing I want to say about this is that we must show respect. With every culture, no matter how many differences of opinions we might have, one of the core things that perhaps never changes is respect. Now, respect doesn't only go for the elderly. We should all respect each other, from the baby to the elderly, including our friends, including our families, including our partners. Respect plays a huge role in how we are perceived and how we communicate with each other. So it's very important to make sure that whatever you're doing, however you're communicating, you keep in the back of your head, I am going to show respect to this person, even if the communication is not favorable, it's not going the way you want it to. Don't reduce yourself to this base level of, bad decorum. And to be honest, especially when people are looking at it, even if they take your side in the beginning, they're not going to have the same respect for you. I promise you that much. So, just make sure you show respect. And that's the last thing I have to say about that. So we need to learn how to communicate with each other better. We need to try to be there for each other, learn more. And guess what? If the communication ends up not being favorable for one or both parties, it is okay. As long as you got your point across, you don't have to stay stuck in any situation that is uncomfortable for you, communication or not. So please understand that if you need to walk away or put some space in between, or never speak again, that is also valid. and communicating with each other, as long as you have an understanding, that is a good thing. Alright, so this is what it looks like. That's our Cacio Pepe. And this is our baked salmon with a butter caper sauce. I'm going to plate this up and we are going to taste it together as usual, right? And it does look lovely, doesn't it? You know, bad to bad, I feel like I'm really turning into a really good chef. Alright guys, so here is our Sunday dinner for today. Our baked salmon and our Cacio Pepe, and we are going to try it now. Let's see. And no, I'm not gonna lie to you now. Best salmon. I want the person who can cook on better salmon than this. Talk to me. Come right to the front of the line and come talk to me. This is delicious. Oh my goodness. Listen, first of all, when you add butter to anything, you know it's a nice. But this extra nice. Now let's try our spaghetti. And as you can see, guys, it's very loose. Loose like a goose. From here on out, a so spaghetti must eat. All them heavy cream cheese sauce where them put on spaghetti unnecessary. Al dente, little parmesan, little pepper, perfection. I love it. Anyways, guys, it was so nice having you here with me while I chatted with you, talked to me nice, and made my Sunday dinner. I really hope you like this video as much as I like making it for you guys every Sunday. Same time, same place. It's me, Miss Mitty, the magical one. Circle me back next week when we talk about another topic. And please don't forget, like, subscribe, and share my video. And leave a comment down below too. You can tell me what you want me to make next week. Any weird recipe you find, as long as it don't require more than 3 pots, I will make it happen.